What it is, man. What it is, man. We're back with Money in the Bank yet again to end the season off. For the season finale, I had to go out and get some and recruit some help to help me break down the Panthers season. None other than Jonathan Brown, man. How you doing? How you been, bro?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm glad this season's over with.
God, man, early, man. Who you telling, man? So, you know how we get it. You know how we got to start this thing out. Overview of the season. What are your overall thoughts for what happened in 2021?
My overview of the whole season is we have talent on the roster, but we just need better coaching, really. That's all. I think with better coaching, we're easily a 8-9 win ball club, man.
Absolutely, man. And I know for myself, I was pretty early on the on the Matt Rule hate train. Didn't really buy into what they said he was going to be bringing in, which is supposed to be program building. But again, we all know how this works, man. College guys that can build programs doesn't translate into NFL success. I mean, even a guy like Urban Meyer even struggled at this level. We've seen guys prior to them, Spurrier, Saban, all struggle at this level. And again, the biggest question I always had, and the biggest question that still remains is, what's the one redeeming quality that Matt Rule possesses that makes anyone think that he can be a successful NFL head coach? And I never really got that answer. And I think even 2 years in, we still don't have that answer.
Well, you're really not going to get an answer like that from somebody who the fan base never wanted in the first place.
It's true. This is true. Even if we go back through David Tepper's reasons for even wanting him, for a guy that was, part of the ownership of the Pittsburgh Steelers, kind of surprised that, the things the traits that he sought out were just really just ancillary things like, oh, he used to be a short order cook, or the guy sweats a lot. He reminds me of myself at a younger age. Like none of these qualities make anyone qualified to be a head coach. And for a guy that was a part of a successful organization for that long, it's really disappointing that we didn't take a Steeler like approach in finding our next head coach after Ron Rivera.
I mean, the fact that he gave this man literally a 7-year contract and like nothing about his resume says, oh, he deserves a 7-year deal. Never won a conference championship. Well, never won a major conference championship. He may have won one at Temple. I'm not sure, but I know he didn't win one at Baylor. He blew a lead at Baylor, I think.
Yeah,
So like I said, I don't know what warrants a 7-year contract, which is really the only reason he's getting a third year is because of the length of that contract. But
absolutely.
but if you just look at the way that this man just goes about business, I mean, he's unexpiring. He fumbles when he talks. He doesn't know what he's talking about. His roster moves are very, very questionable. So, I mean, like, it's a long list. We can go on and on. It might take the whole show to talk about what's wrong with Matt Rule, but
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I don't like I said, we've kind of beaten this dead horse all season. I mean, talk about a guy like you said. The only true reason why he's getting another year is because that 7-year deal is pretty lucrative. And again, I can understand this point. This is the only point I can understand from David Tepper. Yeah, I gave him 7 years, but I want to pay him to not coach my team and then have to pay another coach who's gonna want top dollar as well. And for even from my perspective, I can see a guy not wanting to pay that. I mean, I can see him just having to let fans suffer for another season just to at least get close to this point where we don't have to pay Matt Rule a large lump sum. Well, we don't have to pay him anything. Is that's on David Tepper. But let's look into the quarterback situation now. I mean, you talk about a team that quickly signed Sam Darnold's 5th-year option before ever seeing him play, and even the response that Matt Rule gave to that at the season ending presser. I don't really know. I don't really know what to make of this. He doesn't seem to take any type of accountability for any move that were made, and even the logic they used behind going after Sam Darnold and signing the 5th-year option made no sense to me.
I mean, the man literally sat up here and said that he's in the same ballpark of a Matt Jones and a Justin Fields, two dudes who competed in national championship games. For real. I mean, but then you talk about like his reasoning for wanting to exercise that 5th year option. We brought him in to be a starter, and 19 million is low end starter money. But you ain't even see the man close play for
No.
your team. But you want to sit there and exercise his option.
And it's the thing about 5th year option. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you can exercise the 5th year option during the middle of the season. Can you not? This is something that you don't. There's not. Is there a certain date you have to lock them in for the 5th year option?
I think there is. I think you do have to do it before the season. But my thing is, like, nothing with him on the Jets said exercise that 5th year option. Now, I will admit, I was wrong about Sam Darnold. I thought it was a good trade at first, but
Yeah.
I've seen the light.
Yeah, we talked about that trade going in, like even prior to ever even knowing Carolina will make a move. And at first I thought it may have been a good idea too, but then once the trade happened, I started thinking that, and even me considering how tough I was on Teddy, I even said that if you're asking me who's the better quarterback between Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater, then it's still Teddy Bridgewater. It's just that if you believe Sam has some physical traits you can work with, then Sam is the guy. Then Sam is the guy. And again, even their thought process on Sam Darnold was that he's essentially a rookie, even going into his 4th year, but he has some traits that resemble players that have had a lot of success in his league. So it's worth giving him a shot. And again, sometimes the tape isn't lying. I mean, I know people give Adam Gase a lot of flack, and a lot of people have tried to compare Sam Darnold to Ryan Tannehill, but look, Ryan Tannehill has completely turned around his career in Tennessee. Is he a All Pro level quarterback? No, but is he a very serviceable starter? Absolutely. And Adam Gase, for what it's worth, he still made the playoffs at least one time, and during his time in Miami. I mean, say what you want. I don't think Adam Gase was solely the issue. Was he a part of the issue? Of course, but I think we have to come to realization that Sam Darnold is just as much of the issue as anybody else. So wherever he's been, coaches have gotten axed because of him. So I mean, I don't. We're stuck with an $18 million contract next year, which pretty much limits us from what we want to do at quarterback. The Well, really in the foreseeable future, and for you, draft time's coming up. What would you like to see as far as draft picks for the Carolina Panthers?
I would like to see us draft an interior lineman because I thought we might need to draft a tackle, but Brady Christensen didn't look half bad these last couple games at left tackle. So I think we need to fix the interior. Maybe bring. I don't know if you want to bring back Pratis. Maybe let's see what he can do coming off of injury because he wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
But I think we probably got bookend tackles with Moten and Christensen. So like I think if we fix that interior, we might have something going. And let's get J.C. Horn back from injury and see what he can do.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
we need to draft a line. We got to get a linebacker because Jermaine Carter is just not it.
Yeah,
And it makes me mad seeing Denzel Perry in Vegas make the Pro Bowl, and we have him in training camp, and we kept Jermaine Carter over him.
and Denzel Perry was one of the free agent signings that I was a huge fan of. I thought it could have had the same impact that Robbie Anderson had last year. I thought Denzel Perryman would have been essentially that type of impact on the defense this year had he gotten to play. But again, didn't seem to really get along with the coaching staff. Didn't really seem to quote buy into what the Matt Rule methodology was going to be. And again, I mean, for him, he's in the playoffs right now, and he had an All Pro level season. So I mean, yeah, it all worked out in the end. But I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean, are we? Is there anything the Panthers fans can hang their hat on and kind of feel happy about, or feel positive about going into next year at this point?
You can feel positive about our defensive line and our ability to get after the quarterback. You can feel really positive about that. Coming off the end with Riddick and Burns, I think that's a great combination. It's going to bring back memories of um, Charles Johnson and somebody who I won't name on this podcast for obvious reasons.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, and that's absolutely true. But I mean, right, but even now, you know, I look at the Daquan Jones signing. I look at our interior line. Do we think that there still needs some there's still some upgrades that need to be made at that particular position?
I mean, I think that we could probably maybe get a pass rushing defensive tackle because that's what Derek Brown isn't. He's okay at stopping the run, but I don't really see him making that much of an impact in the passing game. And like I said, I never wanted Derek Brown to begin with. I've always wanted Isaiah Simmons.
We were both on the same page with that. I mean, look. Here's the thing. It's just there are several moves that Panthers fans wanted. That hindsight being 2020, Panthers Twitter GMs are up by like 50 right now.
Oh, we're definitely up.
I
Panthers.
think
Hey, yeah, if you haven't, you need to come on over to Panthers Twitter, man. We really active in these streets.
I'm telling you. I mean, right now. I mean, I've seen this fan base on Twitter pretty much make every single decision that they should that the current administration should have made, and it's worked out in our favor. I mean, we've at this point, I would want a chance to build the team just as much as Matt Rule gets. I mean, I mean, right now, okay. So Scott Fitter, after year one, how we feel?
I like his aggressiveness. I actually don't mind Scott Fitter as much, but when he came out and defended Matt Rule, I'm like, yeah, I defend you a lot. I can't defend you on this. It makes me not want him no more, actually, because he's out here defending mediocrity, and mediocrity just isn't something that I or Panther Nation will stand for.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think he's in a tough spot right now. I think obviously, he doesn't want to publicly bash the guy that's still gonna be employed for this team at least for the next season. I don't. I think it's one of those things where it's kind of just keep it status quo. If you're Scott Fitterer, just don't say anything to ruffle any feathers or get media attention. Just get through the interview, get back into the office and and get back to work. Obviously, I would. I mean, there are a lot of head coaching candidates that we want that I think are very much qualified to be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Brian Flores being one, of course, obviously Airbnb being another. And I do wish we make the plunge and get in on interviewing these guys again. Get in on talking to some of these guys. I mean, and in all honesty, offensive coordinator candidates, and and now that we're near close to the kind of towards the end here, offensive coordinator candidates. Who's the guy that you really want to see coaching this offense in 2022?
I mean, if it was up to me, I would like. I wish we could pluck Grant Roman from the Ravens and have him come be the OC of the Panthers. Actually wouldn't mind him as a head coach, either Grant Roman or I wouldn't mind having Jim Caldwell as my head coach.
That's what I've been a huge fan on the podcast. I've mentioned his name. So I think getting an adult, we need real NFL guys in that locker room again. I think we need real NFL staff, not a bunch of college guys that are coming in with their first chances at being coordinators at this level. In all honesty, Pep Hamilton to me is really starting to become the guy that I've seen swirling around at Panthers Twitter and Panthers Nation, at least on the internet, seems to be high on. I'm also a guy that would like him because I mean, think about it. If based off what we know, Matt Rule will probably be fired by week 8 or 9.
We can only hope.
We can only hope, but based off how this thing has been going, week 8 or 9, we can probably expect Matt Rule to be gone.
So here's the thing: we need to be about 2-6 by week 8. Let's
Yeah,
get them out of here.
at the least 2 or 6. You know what I'm saying? Pep Hamilton to me will be the guy. Because hasn't had a coordinator job yet, but as far as young coaching candidates, he's skyrocketing up the ladder as far as being one of those guys that's next up and due for a job. I would love to have him on the staff and have him be the interim and hopefully have him be the full-time head coach at the very least. I mean, if we're gonna go the young route or inexperienced route, give me a guy that's worked with NFL quarterbacks, that's helped make them better, and that could possibly get him. And if this happens to be his first NFL head coaching gig, bump it. I'd rather see him learn with us than somewhere else. Honestly,
I may be wrong, but didn't Pep Hamilton work with Andrew Luck?
if I'm not mistaken, yes, I know. I think he's worked with Justin Herbert as well.
Hey, that's a good resume
That's a
right
great.
there.
That's a pretty good resume. We're talking about guys that were elite from the day they stepped into the league. So his resume precedes him. So I mean, that's a guy that I would want to have. And again, at the end of the day, man,
Oh
a lot of
yeah,
a lot of people. Yeah, go ahead.
another thing that I think we can take away positively is really our back end secondary. If JC Horn come, if big caveat, if JC can come back and stay healthy,
Yep,
and if we resign Gilmore,
that would be the goal. I think that would absolutely be the goal I would be looking for. D Jack is gonna to me require is gonna ask for, and as he should, he's gonna ask for top end cornerback money because somebody's gonna overpay. You know, we've seen this before. We've seen it with Norman. We've seen it with Bradbury. Somebody's gonna pay that money out.
oh, was Bradbury really overpaid though?
Well, no, not overpay, but just somebody's gonna overpay in terms of what we were willing to pay.
Yeah,
So somebody's gonna be willing to do so. I don't think Carolina's gonna do it. Even though I like Dante Jackson, I would much rather have Stephon Gilmore than J.C. Horn because J.C. Horn is much more in that Stephon Gilmore mode anyway than he is Dante Jackson. And again, one of the very few defensive backs, especially cornerbacks, that have been able to win Defensive Player of the Year. I would love to have that guy being that guy that helps bring JC along and of course play alongside him because he's still an elite corner when he's on the field. So I mean, I just don't, you know, but you know, and to end this off, I mean, should free agents even should the guys that we're trying to resign even want to come back at this point? Because I mean, based off what we saw with Cam and his pressure, he didn't seem like a guy that was really giddy about coming back. Seemed to be a guy that was willing to go elsewhere and look elsewhere for work. Should Stephon Gilmore want to come back? Should Hassan Reddick really want to come back to this Panthers team?
I'm gonna let you know now, man. Stephon actually does want to come back. He wants to be home, but it's got to be for the right price though.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but do we think that price is more feasible than Dante Jackson's price?
I believe it is. But David Tepper's the owner, Matt Rule's the coach. That's a combination for bad decisions right there.
It is. I mean, pretty much every decision that we thought should have been a no-brainer. Even with it's crazy because honestly, we skipped over this with the interviews he did today, the comments he made about Rashawn Slater. Like these are comments that I just can't defend if I'm trying to like
Then
how can I go to a season with a guy that just solely thinks that playing tackle is solely based off arm length?
I don't know. And our starting left tackle at the end of the season, Brady Christensen, has short arms. Don't tell me that's the reason that all season long he refused to play Christensen at left tackle because he
What
has short arms.
That's been the basis of what he said. He said even Rashawn Slater would have played guard for him if they would have drafted him. Rashawn Slater, rookie All Pro tackle, would have been a guard for the Carolina Panthers had he been drafted by Matt Rule.
And that right there should tell you a lot about Matt Rule. He doesn't know how to evaluate talent, and that's a big thing when it comes to coaching, man.
You talk about that. You talk about Trey Smith, who got drafted after Thomas Fletcher, the long snapper that never played an actual snap for the Panthers this season. It's a lot of egregious errors for Matt Rule, man. It's a guy that I've never defended, but a guy that's it becomes hard to watch him tear this team down pillar by pillar. And again, I
I'm
mean the easiest transition to me would be to reassure the offensive line, allow Cam to come back to the roster and compete for the starting job, and at least bridge you into the next quarterback, which will be in 2023. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't want Matt Rule nowhere near a rookie quarterback. Like I don't want that type of cancer next to a young player that has potential. I just can't do it.
That's why when it comes to the middle of the season next year, we have to cut back. If this team wants to move anywhere forward, Matt Rule cannot be part of the process. He really,
Yeah,
really can't. Hashtag Rule out. Hashtag Rule back to school.
yeah. I mean, you compete for the starting job.
And
It's
it's
got to
simple.
go. It's really that simple, man. And I'll be honest. I mean, this is essentially. I hate that this is what the season became about towards the end. Because I mean, there were a bunch of things I thought we could have done this year, could have accomplished, but it essentially just this, even our season finale episode became just had to become about the amplitude of Matt Rule, and that's kind of how we started, and that's kind of how it has to end. And I mean, so you guys have been listening to Money in the Bank with myself, Shanti Stewart, my man Jonathan Brown. Look, you guys are gonna be. Hey, be sure to follow him at all his social media handles that will be in the description. And be sure to check out the Reality Roundtable. Links will also be in the description as well. And we out.